Okay, everybody could open up their cameras. I tell you, using YouTube is much easier than using Facebook. Facebook was was not very cooperative. So welcome. Everything worked out very easily. Welcome to RenéMarie Stroke of Luck. I'm RenéMarie. This is the 10:15 show. We always do 2 shows a month, one at 9, one at 10:15, and we're so lucky to that you're joining us today and to have our incredible guest on today, and of course Ralph, my co-host, who has been joining us. I think we were talking about before, it's got to be 2 or 3 years, but he is an incredible really asset to the stroke world. As everybody knows, he founded Stroke Warrior Radio, and we'll let him get into that a little bit in a little bit. But I wanted to share the same, things that I shared in the first show. First of all, don't forget that it's Go Red for Women this month. Go Red for Women is really important. It brings heart issues for women. From what I am understanding, cardiac is the #1 cause of women's death in the world. So it's really important to take care of yourself, to go to your doctor, just to stay on top of it with your numbers. And then, of course, it's February. February is Love Month. That's really what this show is focused on, is love and how to bring love. That's the back theme to it, is where is the love, so, and also, it's Super Bowl day, right? So I just wanted to remind everybody that Cindy Fiesel, we had her as a guest on our show, and her husband played on the Seattle Seahawks. And I just want to remind everybody of her book, After the Cheering Stops. Go buy it, listen to it. It really does share the struggles that she has, her husband and her went through with the CTE. I know that the NFL has done many advancements considering that. So this book, my words are not to bring any negativity to the sport, because as everybody knows, I'm a big sports fanatic, but I just want everybody to be aware, especially young children, right? We have to always be aware for young children that we're taking care of them. Their brains are not developed yet. So honestly, we're going to have Cynthia on the show once again. Go buy her book, listen to her audio, and it really is an important day because it is Seattle and it is a Super Bowl day, and I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention once again. So that being said, thank you everybody for joining us. We have, let me just Catriana. Catriana, am I saying it correctly? Catriana? Catriana, you're on mute.
Karina.
Katrina.
Karina.
Katrina, keep reminding.
No T in there.
Karina.
So,
Karina.
yes, Katrina.
Without
No
T.
T. No T, Renee.
No T.
Karina.
Karina.
Karina. Sorry. Everybody knows that's my weakness, but we all have a weakness in life. Thank you so much, Matt, for coming back to join us. You have a new hat on this show.
Yes.
We're very excited to hear about it. And of course, welcome back, Ralph, on the second show for co-hosting with me.
My pleasure.
So this show is going to be really focused on strokes and health, and so I know that Katrina suffered a stroke. We're going to hear her story in a little bit, but we're going to start with Matt sharing, what he does and how he got into that world. And actually, Matt and I had gone to school together. Comes from Hawthorne. We've gone to school together. We reconnected at Diane's summer party. I think it was her summer party that we reconnected at, and then he came on my show. So Matt and I go back a long time. I don't want to say,
Yes.
I don't mind saying how old I am. I'm 63. I just turned 63 in January. Right.
Good for you.
To the stage. So go ahead.
We have a lot in common. Thanks, Renee. Thanks for hosting and doing what you do, and thanks for inviting me back. I love anything that use the phrase good karma or even good juju. Same thing for me. I like to color my words because I've been talking all my life, and sometimes, vanilla is not as exciting in verbiage as well. So anyway, I'd like to say that I am coming up on 63, and I don't mind mentioning my age. I've earned it, certainly.
Yeah.
And my birthday's on the 15th. I want to say, so February is my favorite month of the year.
Oh.
I'll start with this.
And we didn't even know that when we booked you.
No, so as you might imagine, so the two favorite days of the year are the 14th and the 15th.
Oh, because your birthday's on the 15th?
Oh, nice.
Of course, right? So it's this, the only thing that could have been better was if I was on the 14th, right? But then I don't get as many gifts. So it's
That's
very
right.
nicely,
That's
the
right.
grace of the universe very nicely gave me a day there. It's the 14th and the 15th. So anyway, I want to say hello to everybody who might be listening, and blessings to, again, anybody listening or dealing with what they're dealing with in healthcare with regard to stroke. I really didn't know. I'll start from our history, Renee. I knew the name when Diane said you got to meet Renee, and she's the one singing down there. I was on the deck at her pool at her house, which is beautiful on the lake, right? And I knew the last name rang a bell with me from growing up from Hawthorne. You were closer with my sister, I think, Grace, my Irish twin.
Yes.
Who it happens to be, there's 2 weeks of the year that we're the same age, and that is currently going on right now because her birthday's the 5th. Anyway, I fell in love with Renee when I first met her, and I believe in no coincidences that that we had that history, and it was such a nice added benefit of just, even if I didn't know you from Hawthorne, Renee, I just fell in love with what you were doing, what you have gone through, and how you've converted that into one of the topics of the day is love, right? And positivity and healthcare and all of that good stuff. Yeah. So keep doing what you're doing. I'll give you a little blurb on what I do currently. I've been all my life as a wannabe doctor. When I was a kid, I was a good student, but I kind of didn't want to follow through on med school. I ended up in pharmaceutical sales in the 80s. I then progressed into medical surgical device sales as a sales, marketing, and business development consultant, if you will, sales and marketing rep. That was hips, knees, pacemakers, anything that went into the body in the operating room. That gave me more of a clinical background as well, which I liked. I really enjoyed being in the operating room, more direct, as closely as I could to get to the nice work that the surgeons were doing versus the other, the outside sales with pharma. And then I progressed onto my own for many years as an independent salesperson, if you will, for a variety of different companies for about 15 years. And the past 7 years, I've been in home care sales, which in many cases requires activity and engagement in and around the health of people with memory care issues, seniors mostly, but it's not always just seniors. It's any age, really. We can help with the home health caregivers can help with just about anything that's going on where somebody needs to be more independent at home. A big part of that is clients, patients, recovery people with stroke. That's a big portion of a lot of the clients we engage, actually, as you might imagine.
Matt, can I ask you something? Is your location a rehab center, or is it a home care? Like, is it not home care? Is it a home care, or is it a place, an assisted living?
Okay, so we're what you call a private pay. It's the name of the company is called Care 10 Home Care. We're based out of Hackensack. We service all counties in New Jersey very well. Our home health aides, which is what we provide, they're hourly or live-in home health aides. It's private pay, which means it's only covered by if you have a long-term care insurance policy, that'll help cover that cost. But most people don't. It's out of pocket versus a Medicare, Medicaid, which is only a few hours a week that you can get with a doctor's script post hospital stay or post rehab stay. But to answer your question, Renee, our aides you can bring our aides into, typically the large percentage people are going back home to recover or to continue to recover after a hospital/rehab stay if it's a serious stroke event. But we can also help. We can also be engaged in the same way, hourly or live-in. Actually, not live-in, but it's called 24/7 care. We can do that at a facility as well, at a rehab facility, right? Or even in a hospital. If the client's family, if the budget is there, they can bring our home health aides in anywhere, any facility, even though there might be other professionals there, that can be engaged as well. But it's mostly at the home, Renee, as you might imagine, right? So that's why we call ourselves Care 10 Home Care Agency.
Care 10, do you know, so do you know what concepted that name for the company?
Yes, well, as there might be a few stories to it, but I've landed myself on if you want to remember us, it's all about good marketing, right? And welcome to America.
Right.
Care 10, I think I had gone by another name years earlier. I think they had originally called it Colors, meaning I think the thought from the owners, I've been with them for 5 months, the thought from the owners might have been, we offer a wide variety, if you will, in say colors versus just one color, right? Of love and service in compassionate caregiving. I've landed on on a scale of 1 to 10, it's Care 10. It's the best you can get. 10 being the best, 1 being the worst.
Right. Well, that's wonderful thought process,
Yes.
That's a wonderful.
And it's actually true. It's even better when it's actually true, because marketing can often be misleading.
Yeah.
As I've been in the business many years, but the honest marketing, when it's a match, is the best way to go. Yeah.
I think there's plenty out there, Ralph, Matt. There's you really, and we were talking about this in the first show, right, Ralph, about connecting, about having a personal connection with the person you're working with. So I'm so, your Care 10 is really a wonderful thought process, and really the fact that you approach it, that you believe in it, and that it's true, and that you have backup for. it just makes it so much simpler for the people that are looking, for someone to help, because it's hard when someone has had, and we're going to ask Karina, in a one moment to share her stroke story. I think it happens in your country, not in America. So what was I going to say? I was going to say that, it's really important to have people there for you all the time. So, Karina, tell us a little bit about your story, where you could share.
Sure. So hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Pretty much in my experience, as you mentioned, yes, it was back in Puerto Rico. I experienced a stroke back in 2008. So pretty much after that, I kept going. And, there are different type of stroke. That is something as well to acknowledge, the different type, the area, etc. After that, I continued recovery as well. It's very important, the connection, the love, right? The different types of connections, the different types as well in the journey, but very importantly for us to keep working towards recovery even after the resources we have. So I kept going, towards that recovery or pursuing my recovery. And pretty much nowadays, that is what got me inspired to do what I am doing now, helping others as well continue their recovery after what we call the traditional resources, right? So that we can keep going. It is very important for us to continue what we learn from therapy sessions, and also being aware about the new resources we have out there as well.
That's so true. You know, that you kept going. So I know that I've heard your story before, but very briefly in a synopsis, give us a little story of how your stroke happens. And
Sure. So pretty much, in my, long story short, right? Because mine starts since my 12 years old. Everything is a process when we start the signs. So the first thing I would love to reinforce is the signs our body is telling us something is happening, right? And we are experiencing, if it is lack to the sensibility, right? And these other things, and we start like those treatments. In my case in particular, the stroke was more at my 15 years old, when I experienced what is called a hemorrhagic stroke after the embolization. So pretty much, in my case, you know, I had to start everything from beginning. Left side was the one affected, and we start, you know, working in recovery from there as well, exploring other resources and keep moving forward.
yep. And share with us how your family supported and loved you through it.
Very, in my case, it was very supportive. I always have, you know, my mom, and they become our coaches at the beginning, right? And in my case, I was a child back then, right? 15 years old when I have my stroke. So my mom is the strong column in my journey, as well. She helped me, and I am honored to say that I have my friends back to school, because one of the things I kept pursuing was going back to school and finishing my career, etc. So I have the opportunity to have my classmates supporting me. So here, friendship, love as well, right? Is another thing to take consideration. Now that we are in February, and so we have family members supporting, the friends as well, and I can mention as well the teachers back then. You know, sometimes we need accommodations after a stroke, or
Right,
for
right.
us to keep working towards our desired goal. So I have teachers support teachers as well. I want to mention that even though we start, or the question was family, I also want to recognize these professionals that are there helping us,
Yep.
therapists, professionals. And sometimes if it is just few minutes, and that is why as a health and life coach, and maybe this is further of what I am doing now, but in my role is one of the things in daily basis. I remind and my clients as well about the time we have with providers, doctors. You know, we can ask questions, or even if that is the period of time we have. For the therapists as well, they are learning how to provide services. So it is an honor to have this support in the stroke journey as well. So there are different relationships, and it is an honor for us as well to be grateful for and recognize that in our journey.
Wow, that's an incredible story. Matt, so, you know, Karina, the way that she tells her story, that ties into what your Care 10 does.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
feed into what she said and how, because I remember when my father was in the hospital, his wife got someone to stay in the hospital with my father, because we wanted to give him the extra care that he needed and deserved, because in the hospital, people are busy. So
Yes.
feed into that, feed into what.
Sure. Great segue. By the way, I want your viewers to understand that that was not a setup. That happened naturally.
No,
Karina, thank
no.
you. And that's even better when things organically happen when a
That's
group
why I
goes.
don't worry about things like I
No, you know
that
what? No
God will present it
coincidence,
to us.
Renee. When
Yeah.
a group of the same positive
Minded.
oriented people get together, wonderful things happen. So to answer your question, to elaborate on what I was saying earlier, typically in the hospital, there is a higher level of care. Although it's interesting you mentioned that. I wanted to qualify that even if you didn't. Um, there sometimes it's still not, and our system's not perfect in this country, I think, as we probably all know. Not that their hearts aren't in the right place, they are, but in many cases they're understaffed, and that goes for the hospital, that goes for the rehab,
Yeah.
and certainly at the home. That's an understatement, right? Like there may be nobody to go home to that can actually continue that care, especially for someone in high need, let me say, in stroke recovery, post-acute is the way we say it, right? Post rehab. So in the hospital, it's what we call it's only hourly. So they don't let a live-in. Let's say we have a live-in that can live in your home with you and have a room and be there 24/7. But by law, they've got to get sleep at night. But they're effectively there 24 hours a day for you. But you can't have a live-in in a hospital setting. There's no room. There's not a bed for them. If there were, it'd be very expensive, right? So, but you could get a companion. It's called companion care.
Okay.
So our aid, instead of being directed in all cases when an aid is serviced in the state of New Jersey, at least by law, there has to be a nursing supervisor writing out all of the plans of care, every little thing that aid does for the client. It's called activities of daily living. Each day has to be supervised by a nurse, and periodically that nurse needs to go in and reassess. If they call us in for what you call companion care, those aides are now they can be for 5 hours a day on an hourly basis. It has to be an hourly shift, quote unquote. But they can be there 24. I've had aides that were there 24/7, every hour on the hour. So we had you would break that into a 2 by 12. They call it 2 12-hour shifts, and those aides are there to really, in a luxury way, dote over the client, and especially important when there's no nurse in the room.
Yeah.
Right. That's that. I think any of us that's had a hospital stay for any reason, at least in New Jersey, often you're upset because you ring the bell and nobody comes and you're all alone in the room, even though you're supposed to be being, quote unquote, doted over in a hospital setting. But there may not be enough staff. And again, if the budget allows, there's nothing wrong with bringing an aide in. In fact, it's done very frequently just to keep somebody company.
Yeah.
Not so much clinical care because the hospital's handling that,
Yeah.
but just have a friend next to you.
And
to
that plays such a huge part in recovery.
Yes.
The love, right?
Yes, the love.
Spreading the love. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's our aides are there also. They're always that carries through into that can be done in a rehab and then certainly at home. So ideally the right relationship will bond by our matching abilities. We're kind of like a dating matching service, if you will, to match the right caregiver and personality with the personality and needs as the family describes it for the client for stroke recovery and for a lot of other things we do.
And you know what I think it's, before I forget, I think it's important what you do, Matt and Karina, I'm sure you do this well, networking, and Ralph, of course you do it as well, is when you go out and you network and you're really spreading the word before you got to get to meeting somebody, right? You're introducing yourself to the world, you're introducing yourself to those people at the network to spread the love, because then if someone should tell someone they need someone, you'll go, oh, I met Matt at this place, it's a great company. So you're doing your networking prior, and that's really important, because when we have a stroke or whatever we have happening in our lives, at that moment your families can't think clear. They're running on fear. And I'm looking at your faith over fear behind you, Karina. There's a sign up there, faith over fear. But you're running on fear. So if you have that little insight into recommendations, and your networking, you're sharing, it's so important. It's so important. And so important. So Ralph, did you have a question? I see you.
I think it's a question of awareness too. That, it's like not many people, everybody knows about what are signs of a heart attack are, but not the signs of a stroke, and that's the number one cause of disability in the world. So, I mean, I think there's an awareness too for what you do, Matt, with the home care. I know for me, after my stroke, I wasn't aware that home care doesn't mean medical care. So that's a differentiation that we have to educate and make people aware of.
Yes.
Do you find that often that there's that confusion?
Yes, absolutely there is. In fact, it's funny, it's interesting. I just learned that Ralph, you're from another state. And in this world, in this day and age, thank you, Zoom, for bringing us from multi-states.
Yeah.
But it's funny, even in the same state, professionals will use different terms and it's confusing. In many cases, that's an understatement. And many times on my first call, when I get a new referral from a facility, a lot of my referral sources, as you might imagine, are rehabs or even case managers where people are coming directly out of a hospital and going right to home. Or it's at a community like an assisted living or a retirement community. Um, they a lot of the conversation, and I love that I get a chance to do this because it's just what I like to do, which is helping others all my life, whether business comes of that or not. I'm happy to be helpful in a conversation where there's a need going on in the healthcare. And one of those is describing the terms, right? So home care, they actually call it healthcare aids in California, but it's the same. It's the same business. It's in certain New Jersey. It's called Certified Home Health Aids, and it's non-medical. But that's a little confusing because to clarify it, Ralph, what it means is any home health aid in any state, typically under most states have the law of has to be all of the activities that they're doing with hands-on to help the client has to be supervised by a nurse. If it's something that invades the body, is a way to describe the difference here. Right. In other words, if there's an injection of insulin, that is considered medical. Right. There is a gray zone, right? Like putting a pill under a hospice patient, a pain pill under their tongue, kind of invades the body, right? You're going through the lips under the tongue, right. But so some of these things can be done by a home health aide. And if they have any questions, anybody listening about any of these things, calling back to someone like me, I'm very helpful in that and say, typically if a nurse allows it, they can actually do it, but it has to be agreed on by all parties, right?
Right.
But typically in a simple way, non-medical home health aides are considered non-medical. Medical is where you might need a private duty RN, nurse, or doctor. But typically, some of the home health aid agencies will actually have not only home health aid service, hourly and live-in, but they'll have what they call skilled nursing service, which is medical. And that covers all bases, typically at the home.
Yeah. And I think, again, awareness. It took a couple years, but I got home care when I was in Colorado after my stroke, and it was incredible. I mean, it was awesome that I had it. They came in and did cleaning for me once a week. They came in and did cooking for me once a week. There's those ADLs that the home health home care takes care of, which is incredible. I mean, we don't realize the cognitive decline in the beginning. You don't know how to deal with all this. The fear of your family,
it's a lot.
You don't know how to deal with it. So
yes,
having a person like you in the beginning, prior to, getting the education. I mean, how
Thank
often
you for
do you
saying,
find,
yeah.
Like Karina, how often do you find your clients didn't even know they were having a stroke? Awareness is so gigantic in not only having strokes or TBIs or whatever, but the recovery process as well. Do you find that a lot, Karina?
Yes, that was one of the things I agree, the awareness, the education, right? And it's one of the things I have the opportunity every day to educate. And one of the things I was hearing from the conversation is the importance of the communication, right? As a caregiver, as a family member, as a provider, that communication is very important. And for us as family members, caregivers, survivors, asking those questions are very important, even though in the different ways we can communicate. As well, is something to take in consideration, but when it comes to know the signs is very important, right? And also the different practices. I hear like there are clinical, non-clinical nowadays. There are things that are covered by insurance. There are things that are out of pocket. So it is very important as well as for each family, for each stroke journey, know the needs, knows where you want to be at. Because this is another thing when I hear at the beginning of the journey where we don't know what to expect, what is next. We find ourselves lost, overwhelmed, and we roam or guide or some people act through that fear, right? Fear
Yep.
is guiding them, so it is very important to have that guidance as well, someone to support as well. That support is very important, and the truth is for people who navigate it without it, is where we learn from the opportunities that open up every day, the opportunity for growth, right? And sometimes it may take years as well. So time is another factor to consider in this journey, and it's very important to create that awareness.
Karina,
think,
oh, go ahead, Ralph. Go ahead. You can ask your question. Go ahead.
go ahead, Matt.
Good, Matt.
You sure? Quick question, Karina. Thank you for this is great conversation. Karina, question. Like, so clearly you're relatively younger than most, although Renee's an exception, I think, too. Stroke people, right? Let's call it. And Ralph brought up a good question. The signs, prevention is so much of what I talk about when I get a chance to just in simple, friendly conversation, whether at work or social. And I didn't get this. It's human nature, like not to worry about something until the stuff hits the fan, right?
Yeah.
Clearly, that's the case in healthcare in so many avenues, right? Unfortunately, but I think over time in this country, prevention is people are becoming more aware. So the question for you, Karina, is I don't know if you mentioned it earlier, but like you had a clot, basically, if I heard you right, that hit the brain and then created a stroke. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but were there signs for you like ahead of time that when you look back, you could have said, "Oh, now maybe you didn't know at the time that it was the sign of maybe I should go and see the doctor just to get this checked out."
So
Did
this
you
is
have any experience with that?
Yeah, and it is very interesting topic to talk about because the signs may be different for each individual. I remember about they put it together a more like a guide, a general, the FAST. The FAST abbreviation is something to take in consideration, and also as general, right? Be aware of that each body, even though we have things in common, we are humans, there are generics. It is very important to also be curious. And one of the things I teach in my practice is creating that awareness of knowing yourself, right? We are the best. Each human, each soul is the best of knowing themselves better than ourselves, right? So in my case in particular, my signs started being treated as headaches, they're migraine. For example, as a child, people don't expect that such condition may be present at that age. So headaches, light to sensibility to the sun, the light, like you feel that I can tolerate that light. So that that was another sign for me. And also the how my body was reacting to physical activity. I was very active person. I like to play sport, and you were able to see the difference in my energy. Like I get exhausted or tired quickly than before. So are different things, or I experience signs that maybe were not considered, like having a stroke or having an aneurysm, for example. So our body can tell us something is happening in different ways. That is where it's the opportunity to explore, get curious, what is happening, right? What my body is asking at this time. Another thing, as in medical field, and this is more for practitioners, that we have that knowledge about the health history to consider, right? In each person, in each family, maybe it's different as well, but there are different factors to consider inside or following the sign. Make sense? Are you with me so far?
Absolutely, Karina. Absolutely.
Let
And
me,
I think
can
I
I
think
add
the great.
something?
Go ahead, Renee.
No, I just wanted, since we've said so many times about the signs, I really think it's important. I will clip this when I'm doing the editing video and put in the signs, but I do want to share with everybody the signs. It's actually Be Fast now. They've advanced the signs to Be Fast. B is for balance, loss of balance or trouble walking. E is for eyes, which Karina just mentioned. Eye trouble seeing out of one or both eyes. Face, drooping on one side of the face. Arms, weakness or numbness in arm or leg. Speech, difficulty speaking. And this is the most important one, I think, is time. Time to call 911 if the symptoms are present. And my foundation always adds on a little blurb to that, is when you call 911, please let them know that it could be signs of a stroke, because it puts them just gives them a little bit of advancement in why you're calling. And they could, when they come, they'll know, they'll assess it. They're not going to take yours to heart, but they will assess it from that standpoint. And because they know how important time is for strokes. So I just
And
wanted to my thought
I'll
on that.
go ahead and add my little blurb. Do not drive yourself or have somebody drive you. Get an ambulance. You will be first in line. It doesn't have to be one or two. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
all the symptoms. One or two symptoms, call an ambulance.
Yes.
Get to the hospital. I didn't know I was having a stroke. I had no signs whatsoever. I was working all week. Was feeling great. I took ibuprofen and went to bed. I thought that, I worked too hard that week. So, I mean,
Right.
it's something that everybody needs to share it, because I couldn't get the PPA drug. I wonder what my recovery would have been like had I been able to get the PPA drug. It would have been so much easier, I believe. So, I mean, it's a big deal about awareness, because
Yeah,
you don't always get time.
and well, and it's been 20 years since 10 years, Ralph, from
10
your
and a half years.
10 and a half
10 and a
years.
half years.
Because I think that they've expanded the drug, the clot buster, to
Yeah,
a
now
bigger
it's
window,
4 hours instead of
bigger
2.
window now. Dr. Littmeyer had been on our show, and he does a video every year, and he shared with us a little. So that's important stuff to know,
Yeah.
and it's important for your family to know, because I will tell you that each hospital is not a stroke experienced hospital. It depends on what hospital. I mean, that's another thing, like, and these are just our suggestions and thought process is, if you think somebody's going to a hospital having a stroke, you really have to figure out which hospital you want them to take you to. Now, I
There
know,
are certified stroke centers.
yes, I know from my granddaughter, because she has a seizure condition, that because we've had many discussions with the ambulance and the hospitals, that if it's severe and the ambulance, there's no, they need to get you to hospital really quick, they're going to take it to the closest one. They
Right.
need to do that.
Right.
But if you have the option, always pick the stroke
Right.
the one that's, geared towards
Certified, yeah.
strokes, that's certified in strokes, because it makes a difference. It makes a difference. So I'm sorry, Matt, I know you had a question.
No, real quick, I just want to add is thank you all of you for this input. It's wonderful, helpful conversation for us all, in or out of the healthcare arena. As a personal note, what I want to say to people, anybody hearing this, is if in doubt, check it out. Right? I just made that up, but you know what I mean. If it's something that is like, so for example, I'm 63, I'm relatively healthy, but many years ago in my youth, I did things that weren't so healthy. I've since my behaviors over the past many years have been much better in my eating and all of that. But like I had some chest pain recently. I've had it periodically, but nothing crazy, right? Like if it's once or twice a year, and it's fleeting, I don't know if it's really chest pain or is it just agita, right? Something I ate. But common sense goes a long way. But if it's something like Karina was saying, the person that knows, you know yourself better than anybody. If you're, and if you don't, become aware of your insides, right? Like I think life and quality of life is an inside job in general. Certainly when it comes to healthcare. Nobody, and often you might go to a healthcare professional and they poo-poo what you might know to be true inside of you, right? Like, oh, that's nothing, don't worry about it, right? And I don't mean, and they may be right in many cases, but what I want to say is, if it's something a little out of the ordinary, it's much better. I have to do this with my husband all the time. He's from Brazil and he's an ex-pharmacist, and he was telling me he had a little pain in his liver the other day, and I'm like, that's not normal. That's not a normal everyday.
Yeah.
And we have insurance. The doctor's right down the road. You should just go and get it checked out, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm going to wait. I'm like, no, please. That's like something you shouldn't wait on, right? So stroke, clearly, time is of the essence too. And so I recently was at a dance where I hadn't danced and I love to dance. And I really went crazy at this New Year's dance. And I got back into my car and I felt a lot of pain on my whole left side. Now that's not something that's happened to me in my whole life. Normal, like that's not a frequent occurrence, thank God. So I'm going for physical this week to get that checked out, to get an EKG, and it's better to know ahead of time.
Yeah.
With this kind of thing, right? Yeah.
Or maybe you should have just went to the emergency room.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the first thing was I needed to just stop dancing and sit down and breathe and have some water. But if it had continued, you're right, Renee. Even though it was like late at night, I should have gotten. I'm in North Jersey, so we can go anywhere at any time with a cell phone. I could have gotten help right away.
Yeah.
Well, and I know people that have had incidents like that where it's a brief symptomatic period, and it goes away, and a month later they have a massive stroke. It's the TIA. It is a stroke, which they won't find unless they do an MRI or CT.
Which means anybody, when that kind of thing, that's a clear message from, I call it, the universe.
Yeah.
Pain is a good like you got to get that checked into. Just don't say, oh, it went away, I'm okay. Right.
Yeah.
I think too, one of the things that I had to find out in recovery is we put the medical profession on such a high pedestal, but they don't, I'm sorry to say it this way, it's the only way I can think of. They don't deserve to be there. The self-care that we have to do for ourselves and the self-advocacy is more important than it's nothing,
Absolutely.
you know, yeah, let's do this.
Absolutely, Ralph.
You know, if
Yeah,
you feel it's wrong, like you said, if it, check it out. I mean,
right.
you have to be the captain of your own team.
That's
Good,
right.
good hospitals, good hospitals. When my father was in the hospital, and this was 10 years ago, he was at Hackensack Medical Center, and St. Joseph's. But at Hackensack Medical Center, actually they had a meeting every morning, a team meeting, and you were invited to it. So you were, they always want to make sure that the family is part of the conversation, right?
Yeah.
To make sure that you have input, because your input, like everyone has said, really plays a valuable part of that conversation. They can't have medical conversations without your input, you know? So it really, really does matter. We only have 10 more minutes, believe it or not. It goes so fast. But I really wanted to give Karina an opportunity to share about her living without limits. Share with us a little bit about living without limits. Then I want to ask, and then I need to take that because it's my daughter and my granddaughter has seizures, but I'm going to let Katerina take it away.
All right. So Living Without Limits with Karina Seda, LLC. Living with Karina Seda, born from a personal journey, right? Experiencing the stroke, and we started helping the stroke survivors, and nowadays we keep growing. We help brain injury survivors, their family members, and professionals who wants to continue that independence after a brain injury, as well as the prevention. It is very important for that prevention. I know that we talk about the prevention part. So moving away from having a stroke is very important as well. And nowadays we help both. We help continued independence, and we help that moving away from a stroke.
And how do they find out about living without limits?
Living Without Limits, we have our website, lwlwks.com. That is the abbreviation of Living Without Limits with Karina Seda.
Thank you.
That's incredible.
Question, where are you located, Karina?
I am located in Central Florida. I'm
Oh,
providing
okay.
visual.
And you
Say
provide
again?
remote.
But you can help
Oh.
anybody in this day and anywhere.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah. So I wanted to, and before I give everybody the opportunity to share where they can be contacted, I know that we just got Karina's information. I'm going to give Matt and Ralph, of course, the opportunity. But I wanted to talk about two things really quickly: how love impacted your life. That was really the theme of the show. So Matt, tell us how love impacted your life, how it is important to be loved and to love one another.
Great way to end, Renee. Wow. Listen, I've talked for a living, and when I say, well, I'm going to preface this with words are cheap, it's true. But they're important, right? What I can say, love is everything. Love will conquer all, in my opinion. Unconditional love, real love. Thank goodness, wherever it came from, it's with us in this crazy world, right? It's everything about quality of life and quality of care to me in my business. If there's no love involved and or passion, those two things can really change people's lives, or at least give them the comfort. I mean, I've been looking for it all my life. You know, some of us get more of it when we're younger, and some of us don't. But we don't have to live in fear. Love helps me to get to faith.
Yeah.
And the more I practice living in my business, in my social, and often it requires me to sometimes just stop talking that and listen to somebody. I'm a natural talker. Listening is better. Listening is love, right? Sometimes I'm listening to my clients. There's not a whole lot I can do physically, but I can be a friend. That's love. I can hear you and empathize with you and give you a hug, right? And or bring you a caregiver that's just going to do that for you every day, and brighten up your as difficult as your current situation may be. Anyway, I can't say enough about love. That's again why I love Valentine's Day. It's the holiday of, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to be in a relationship, like, no limits, right? Like, we're human. We all need it. It's like oxygen. And the better we find, and if you're not getting it, find it. Like Ralph was saying, be the quarterback of find if your primary care physician isn't giving you the love. This happens a lot in this healthcare crazy business. They need to be your best advocate. If they're not, get another doctor, right? Find another professional that really means what they say.
And you don't have to, and we're talking about love, we're not talking about a partner, which I know,
Right.
Matt, you have a partner, you have your husband.
Yes.
Karina, I'm
Thank
not
God.
sure about you or
Thank
Ralph,
goodness.
but we're not talking about that kind of, we're talking about that kind of love. We're talking about love in general, loving
Right.
one another, loving your friends, loving your family, loving, and even if you have an a challenging relationship with somebody, that still doesn't mean you can't send them love, and it doesn't mean you have to have contact with them, but you can send them love and pray for them. And it's so important to love one another, especially in this world. And while we're on the subject, I have to share that my heart and my is really hurting for Savannah Guthrie's
Mm.
family, what they're going through. My heart is breaking for that, because I am a single woman who sleeps in her bed at night by herself. And to think that somebody would come into my home, and it's heart-wrenching. It's heart-wrenching. So I had to bring that up, because we're sending them love today on this. We're praying that this ends. But Karina, tell us about how love impacted your life.
So I would love to reinforce self-love first in the stroke journey. Sometimes we find ourselves, even though we have our family, we have friends, we have people support, we may feel lonely, right? So that self-love is very important for caregivers as well. When you are the strong column in the family or at the moment in the situation, that self-care, that self-love is important as well. So it's something to acknowledge, and from there it start, right? From the inside out.
Mm. That's such a great thought process, because I'm harder on myself than anybody will ever be. So, and that's good once in a while, but I need to give the compassion to myself as well when I do make
Yes.
mistakes. That's why, honestly, with the issue that I have with saying names, I'm very honest with it, and I'm open, and I'm trying, and I'm educating, and I'm like, what does that matter? I mean, I know it's important. Somebody's name is important, but it's about me like trying to navigate that in my brain, so it's always been an issue for me. Ralph, how does love impact your life?
Well, let me see. In my self-recovery, I will tell you that when I moved in with my daughter and her family, my grandchildren were there for me. They did not have an issue with my disabilities or my deficits. They just loved me. My children's love for me kind of changed after the stroke. It became much better. And it took me a long time after my stroke. I had some very dark moments. But if it wasn't for love of my children, grandchildren, I don't know if I'd even be here.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the love of other survivors, that's a very important thing that Renee and I recognize, because we do it every week, is
Yeah.
bringing in other survivors into our lives that make our recovery better and their recovery better. That's a form of love. It doesn't have to be, like you said, a relationship. It's a love of spreading your story, spreading your knowledge, spreading, being, like you said, Karina, self-care, self-love. I mean, it took a long time for me to accept the fact that this is what I'm the life I'm living now. But after I did that, I found did research, found neurophysical therapists, and I'm no longer on a cane or walker. All my hands work, I mean, it's never as good as it's getting, as long as you keep fighting for yourself and self-love.
Yeah, yeah. And you just enjoy each moment. Enjoy each moment that we get to be on this earth. So thank you so much.
Oh, I don't know. When you get me up at 5:30 in the morning, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it.
Ralph, I know you love me because you do it.
Yeah, you have to.
Some moments are easier to do that in than others, Renee, right? But the intent is a good one. Yes.
So before we run off, I know today is Super Bowl day, which I said initially with Cindy Fiesel's book, but what is everybody doing for the Super Bowl today? Karina, what are you doing for the Super Bowl today?
Well, I have things scheduled for this afternoon. May involve spending time with my husband. And a lot of things. So I am not that fan,
Focus.
of Super Bowl and all that. But we are here in a mission, so we keep working every day, preparing for the week ahead.
And give us so I can let everybody do this all at once. Give us your website again. Give us your email. Give us your title to your business.
Sure. It is Living Without Limits with Karina Seda. The website is LWLWKS. I am going to spell it just in case. L like Larry, W like whiskey, L like Larry, W like whiskey, K like kilo, S like Sam.com.
Thank you, Karina.
Or people also can Google Karina Seda and they find me there as well. KARINASEDA. So we are here to support you as well.
Thank you so much. You're incredible. We're so happy. It's been, I think it's been about 3 or maybe 4 or 5 years that we've been connected. And I don't remember how we got connected. It probably had something to do with Judy. Judy was very researching all that kind of stuff. Matt, share with us,
Sure. Contact. You can always go to the website. It's care10, one word, CARETEN.com. It's a website. Our office is Northern New Jersey in Hackensack, not that far from the medical center that you referenced, Renee. You can also reach out to you, Renee, if I can say this.
Yeah,
if you want to talk to me directly, for any reason, with no strings attached, I always say, my cell phone, you have my cell phone. They're not going to probably remember it, but contact Renee to you can get me personally outside of work. It's all the same for me. I actually run my own independent consulting company and I have a Gmail account, but relative to Care 10, you can go to Care 10 direct. They have an office line on the website, a direct phone. Those people know who I am. If you want, you can ask them to, give them a message and I'll call you back, kind of thing. And it can go through you to Renee if you would.
absolutely.
As well. I'm
Absolutely.
available 24/7 by the nature of the business. And if I don't answer the phone, leave me a message, please. And I'm very good at getting back to you right away. Right away. I mean, very shortly after a message is left.
Good. And what are you doing for the Super Bowl?
Oh, my husband and I are staying warm in our townhouse in this minus 50-degree weather. I have a big screen TV. We have a lot of food. And I'm gonna grizzly bear it.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yes. Yes.
Eat a lot and just watch the game. I'm actually rooting for I like both teams. It's not New York, right? It's not the Giants. That would be my team. But I'm going with Seattle because I've lately been watching binge watching Grey's Anatomy.
Okay.
And they're in Seattle. And I feel like I'm getting free therapy out of Grey's Anatomy. It's a wonderfully so I have to go with Seattle.
Okay, Ralph, what are you doing for the Super Bowl? And tell us, to give everybody a little shout out about your Stroke Warrior Radio.
Well, when we're done here, I'm going to put my coffee cup away and go take a nap. Then I'll probably get up and while I'm watching the Super Bowl, I got a bunch of recording and editing to do for Stroke Warrior Radio, which you can find at strokewarriorradio.com. Hit the listen button. We're on 5 days a week, 24 hours. We're listened to, and it's an internet cloud-based radio station. so we're listened to in 60 countries in this world of ours. You can also find a bunch of our interviews and shows on YouTube at Stroke Warrior Radio. Also, most of the socials, you can find most of the information about us too at Stroke Warrior Radio. And you can reach me at RCORTESE at Stroke Warrior Radio. Or, yeah. What is my, geez, I forgot my Gmail.
Yeah, it's okay. If you need it, just reach out to me. I'll give it to you.
You can reach me through the website at StrokeWarriorRadio.com.
Ralph is 3 hours behind us, so he's still in sleep mode. What are you doing? What are you doing for the Super Bowl? Did you answer that? What are you doing for the Super Bowl?
Watch it, but I'm not into either team that much. But
Okay.
you know, I'll probably watch some of it. I usually don't watch football till the second half.
Yeah.
None of the games are good in the first half anymore.
Yeah. The second half. By the second half, I'm sleeping. I watch it for the music, the national anthem, the God Bless America, the initial stuff. So thank you everybody for joining us. We'll please join us once again in a few months. We'd love to hear how you're doing. And really have a wonderful day. You know, sometimes I forget we're streaming, that we have an audience, and I'm just connected with all of you, talking to you. So to our audience, thank you so much for joining us today. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful, love one another. Have a stroke of luck in your life, and life is a gift. That's the last words from my book, Life is a Gift. Enjoy each moment, love one another, and we'll see you next time.